We are in a car with some lion cubs in the back. I'm feeling pretty terrified. Nice to meet you. Oh.
تعالي عندي عند بابا تعالي عند بابا. عايشين مع الأولاد داخل البيت ويقعد على التلفزيون ومعانا وعنا عادي.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, we have a runaway.
يشرب شاي. البشر ممكن يضحك في وجهك ويخدعك، لكن الحيوان هذا إذا بكرهك على طول بكشر عن أنيابه وبهجم عليك، بحبك بقعد يبوس فيك زي ما بتشوف، بغنيني عن البشر. غزة أسود، غزة بتشيل الأسد على إيديها.
Maybe it's an okay thing to have a lion as a pet in Gaza. Who am I to say? So I am packing to go to Fashion Week in Palestine, which I understand, even saying out loud, is a contentious statement. This is a place that in some people's minds doesn't exist. So there's really no good way to talk about this without angering someone. I'm really interested to see what this Fashion Week looks like. Last year it was canceled because of the war in Gaza. Conflict obviously dominates the headlines. So we're in a very strange place in terms of understanding the realities of the situation there. And the only way to know what it's like there is to go. So we're gonna go.
Getting into the West Bank is complicated. There are no active airports in the Palestinian territories, so we had to fly into Tel Aviv and then drive to the border. This lack of infrastructure is due to a long and tumultuous history of territorial dispute between the Palestinians and Israelis. Both claim the land as their home. Whether it's rocket exchange or civil unrest, this ongoing conflict makes headlines on an almost daily basis. It is within this context that Palestinians have tried to establish a regular Fashion Week as a way of forging a national identity and to draw international attention for reasons other than conflict.
So I've just gotten off the airplane. I'm already very confused as to where I am. I believe we're driving through Jerusalem at the moment, but I keep having to ask where we are.
The Palestinian territory is split into two parts. Each area is controlled by a different faction. Gaza is governed by the militant Islamic organization Hamas, while the Palestinian areas of the West Bank are controlled by the secular PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Whilst Gaza is entirely Palestinian, the West Bank is split into three zones, A, B, and C. A zones are Palestinian, B zones are under joint Palestinian-Israeli jurisdiction, and C zones are under Israeli control. We headed to Ramallah, the de facto capital of the West Bank, where the Fashion Week was being held. To get there, we had to cross the over 400-mile-long wall built by Israel, which encircles the entire West Bank. Construction of the wall began in 2002 to put a barrier between the territories.
This is the first up-close and personal experience I'm having with the wall. There's a coil of barbed wire above it. Apparently, every year, about 40,000 Palestinians make it over that wall one way or another. We're just in the midst of going through our first checkpoint.
All Palestinian territories are punctuated by Israeli military checkpoints in order to control the flow of people. Palestinians hold different ID cards depending on whether they're from the West Bank, Gaza, or East Jerusalem, which dictate where and when they can travel in the region. Checkpoints are inevitable on even the shortest of journeys, and curfews can be implemented at any time. Theoretically, the only people allowed to travel freely across the region are foreigners, but access can still be denied by Israeli checkpoint controls.
So, we've just arrived in the West Bank. Welcome.
But no sooner had we arrived, we received some news.
When I booked my flight to come here, there was a 3-day Fashion Week scheduled in Ramallah.
By the time I boarded my flight, it became a one-day fashion show. And by the time I got off my flight here, it dissolved into some sort of party. I'm not really sure what's going on. So I've come here to figure out where the Fashion Week has gone.
I managed to track down one of the organizers, Thayer, to get some answers about why the Fashion Week wasn't happening.
حاولنا شيء سوء التعامل مع الشخص اللي كان ماسك هذا الموضوع. احنا اعتمدنا على ناس مش قد المسؤولية انه يعملوا ياخذوا هذا الايفنت بهاي البلد. انا من اكثر الناس اللي بحب انه هذا الشيء يصير عشان كتغيير الناس تشوف شيء جديد بهاي البلد.
Is fashion a big deal here?
في ناس كتير هون خاصة الناس اللي عايشين برام الله من أهل رام الله بحبوا هاي الأشياء، خصوصاً إنه إحنا ما عندنا براند لهاي الأشياء. أكيد يعني مهم بهاي البلد إنه يكون في إشي موجود للناس اللي موجودين هون.
And what would it mean for Palestine to have a fashion week?
يعني كتير إشي مهم يعني لأنه كل البضاعة هون من إسرائيل، خاصة بعد المقاطعة هلا مصممين فلسطينيين عايشين برا لازم يرجعوا هون يعملوا أشياء لهاي البلد.
Since the fashion week didn't work out, why even have a party?
عشان الناس كتير عاشت ظروف صعبة، عشان هيك أنا بعمل حفلات.
Thayer couldn't give me an exact reason why the event hadn't happened, but the cancellation of Fashion Week made me wonder whether endeavors of this nature were always at risk of unraveling here. I met Christina, a Palestinian who went to college in the US and has now come back to set up a lingerie business. She offered to show me around Ramallah the next day.
We're gonna go and check out some of the lingerie shops. It's quite fascinating if you haven't seen it before, if it's your first time seeing it.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Ramallah is one of Palestine's most liberal cities. However, many women cover up in traditional Islamic dress. I had never really had the opportunity to think about what they wore underneath.
You wouldn't think it, you know? The Middle East in general is known for really crazy, out there lingerie pieces because there's such a huge emphasis played on marriage.
In theory, you haven't had sex before you get married.
Yeah, so that's why it's also such a huge deal, you know? You want to pick out the most beautiful pieces, have them ready for your wedding night and wedding week and wedding month and, you know.
Wedding month.
right here. Yeah.
Wow. This looks like a Halloween shop.
Yeah, you could say that.
Wow, this is nice. So you always know where she is, right?
There you go, yeah. There's a lot of emphasis played on costume, you know, like role-playing.
Right.
Yeah.
This is nice. Occupying their husbands on your wedding night. I mean, it seems sort of strange to me that in Ramallah there's just a shop like this on the street. Are the conservative
Community,
class of people upset by places like this?
No, I think the more conservative Palestinians actually shop here. If you're coming from another village outside of Ramallah and you want to come and shop and get prepared and everything for your wedding, you would come to a store like this. Whereas someone that lived abroad or more informed about sex and marriage and everything, they wouldn't shop here. So this is actually more catered to someone like that.
It's really interesting to me to think about conservative woman who may be wearing hijab, also wearing crotchless panties underneath.
Wow. I think there's a freak inside everyone.
Christina is launching Palestine's first ever online luxury lingerie store. She holds an American passport but was born and raised in Palestine and has decided to launch her business here.
The lingerie that we want to sell, it's for contemporary women to just have access to these products and brands that aren't accessible here. But I want to do it here, and I feel like that's in a way fighting the occupation. I think it's important to show that there's other aspects to life here besides what you see on TV.
I'm scared. We're playing a game of chicken.
Now you can tell we're in the West Bank.
Ramallah Fashion Week may have been canceled, but we heard about a young Palestinian designer, Natalie Tahan, who was determined to put on her own show later in the week. She agreed to take us to the workshop in Hebron where her collection was being made under the watchful eye of manager Iyad.
As you can see, it's segregated because in Hebron, people tend to be a bit more conservative. Embroidery here is within our tradition, and it's actually a language that's used by all the different villages. Each village has its own motifs, different colors, mean different things about social class, the girl is from, or if she's married or unmarried. All of these are hidden messages within the embroidery.
And why is it important to you to reference Palestinian culture in this collection?
Well, as one of the few Palestinian designers, I feel like it's important to showcase that we are able to achieve something of very high quality to kind of compete with international brands.
Natalie's show was being put on in East Jerusalem, which is under Israeli control. But Iyad and the team all hold Palestinian West Bank IDs, making it difficult for them to get to the fashion show.
Is it rare to have a fashion show in Jerusalem?
On the Arab side, it's very rare. This is actually the first of its kind to be done.
Wow.
ممنوع احنا نطلع القدس الا غير بدنا تستريح عشان نطلع القدس. هلا اذا احنا بدنا نقدم للتسريح، طلع لي بطلع، ما طلع لي خلص ما بقدرش اطلع غير. غير اذا بدنا نطلع تهريب وما بينفعش نطلع تهريب.
Will that make you sad not to see the runway?
طبعا شغل يعني بدي اشوفه مش رح تبقى صعبة.
It's very clear to me that we take for granted being able to attend events that we've contributed to in some way. And the people that work in this factory don't necessarily have that luxury. I'll be interested to see if they end up making it there.
Unlike Ramallah, which is 100% Palestinian, Hebron is a contested city, considered a holy site by both Muslims and Jews. Today, the city is divided between Palestinian and Israeli control. It is the largest city in the West Bank and is historically the center of Palestinian manufacturing. But industry here has suffered due to the conflict between the Israeli settlers and the Palestinian inhabitants. However, one business that's still going strong is a factory producing one of the most popular garments of the Middle East. The keffiyeh became iconic in the 60s when Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat began to wear the black and white version, which then became associated as a symbol of national identity and resistance. Somewhere along the way, it was reappropriated as a fashion accessory, and I wondered if its meaning got lost in this translation.
Are you the big boss here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
نعم.
How long have you been working here?
شو بدها؟ الحمد لله. تمام، الحمد لله.
Can you tell me about the history of this place?
هسه سنة 1961 بنصدر لأوروبا كلها. وماشي الحال الحمد لله. هذا هو.
Traditionally, who wears a keffiyeh?
على مستوى البلد كبار السن. احنا استهلاك الكوفية للبلد حقيقة مش لأهلها. يعني خلينا نقول أكثر من 90% يمكن للأجنبي يجي من برا.
So this one looks like a Masoni pattern, and this one is obviously very politically charged. Where do you come up with the designs for these ones?
في عندي واحد من إخوتي هو اللي بيصمم كل التصاميم هذه. على راسها صعب. على فكرة أنا ما بلبسها بالعشر سنين اللي بشتغل فيها بس ما بلبسها.
Don't move.
Okay.
ولا نفس.
Okay. Oh no. Oh no.
You are now half man.
Okay. I have big balls. Here I am, half man.
Not far from the keffiyeh factory in Hebron lies Shahada Street, a place that exists today as a clear example of how industry can suffer under occupation.
This street used to be the largest marketplace in Hebron and sort of this city center of commerce. Behind this checkpoint, is under Israeli military control. There's a tailor son waiting for me on the other side to show me what's left of it.
Shahada Street runs through the center of Hebron's Old Town and leads to the Cave of the Patriarchs, where both Muslims and Jews believe Abraham is buried. This was a busy shopping center and the hub of Palestinian tailoring until 1994, when the Israeli army closed down hundreds of businesses as Israeli settlers moved into the area. All trade ground to a halt. Today, around 500 Israelis have settled here, guarded by what is arguably an excessive patrol of at least one soldier per settler. These settlements are illegal according to international law, and despite 20 years of regular protests, the shops have remained closed. The street can be accessed by foot, but only if you are a tourist, an Israeli settler, or one of the last remaining Palestinians living on this street, like Abdel, whose family once had a successful tailoring business here.
Welcome to Shahada Street.
Okay.
The street was vivid, full of life, but now, as you can see, it's more like ghost town, ghost street.
Yeah.
Many shops are closed now. As you can see, they're even welded.
They're all closed.
Yeah. There are 1,829 shops completely closed. As Palestinians, we're not allowed to have cars. For us, even the emergency cases, like if we want to have an ambulance here, we're not allowed to have. So what we do is that we take the patient out, carrying him or her out the checkpoint, and the ambulance will be waiting behind the checkpoint. For example, 5 years ago, a woman gave birth on that checkpoint because the checkpoint was closed and they didn't open the gates for her to go out. That used to be my father's shop. He was a tailor, making Arab dresses like the long heels and
With the embroidery?
Yes, it was a very successful business. And still, like the machines, the clothes, everything is still inside.
So essentially, this stretch of street is just frozen in time at the moment it was closed.
Exactly. So, I live here. It's my house.
It's beautiful in here.
Thank you. And this house is around 800 years old. This is not 800 years old.
This is not 800 years old.
This is very ugly, but we had to put this for our safety because 3 years ago, we were stoned by the Israeli settlers who are living here. If any of these stones hit any of us, it kills. Let me walk you as far as I can get. For me, this is where, like, the maximum where I can
The line
reach.
of the shadow.
Until the shadow here, exactly. You know, there's no sign, there's nothing tells you that you are not allowed to pass if you are Palestinian. But if you pass, you know, there's a soldier here. So he either will detain you, arrest you, beat you up. So you don't guess what will happen to you. I'm sorry I can't walk with you anymore. But
That's okay. I don't want you to.
This is where I can, this is where I can
Right.
reach. All right.
Bye.
So take care. Have a good day.
Feels really weird. None of the soldiers even looked at me when I passed over the line. They just let me go. I don't know what to say. It's so weird to be able to walk over an imaginary line that somebody can't step over. And I don't know. I don't know, sorry. I don't know what to say. It's okay. The energy here is really chaotic. There are just throngs of people everywhere, and they're all in front of the cars.
Back in Ramallah, it was race day. And although it looks like a boys' club, I am here to track down some of the most celebrated female style icons of Palestine.
The Speed Sisters are the only all-female racing team in the whole of the Middle East. So I've been very excited for this moment.
The Speed Sisters team consists of 5 girls. Today, 2 of them were competing in drift races, where drivers deliberately oversteer on the track and are judged on their performance.
Would you take one of the Speed Sisters out on a date?
Of course, why not?
After the race, Speed sisters Betty and Noor offered to give me a ride.
At the beginning, when we start racing, they were like, what are these girls doing between all these men and racing? But when we start getting like good scores and winning the boys, we win all respect.
She's breaking up with her boyfriend. She likes to, change. She gets bored with it. I'm joking, guys. Come on.
Is it hard to date here?
Well, thank God I don't date anybody here.
Me too. Ugh, they're all very old mentality, very jealous guys. Ugh.
Like they want you to be a certain way?
Yeah, it's not easy for us. Like we're like very strong, liberal women. I don't think any guy would like his girlfriend to be drifting and racing. Like, did you ever see a car race driver with all these males?
It's hard here, it's very hard. Like, really, the mentality is like, he can pass, like, what's his problem? مفتوح اطلع خلاص. اطلع. He's not even a driver, like, for real. He has this big car. He doesn't even know how to drive it.
Hold on, girls. We're going for a hot ride, but please don't be scared. Gas, handbrake, and then gas. Gas, and then handbrake.
Oh my God. Okay, stop. Oh my God. I would be intimidated to ask you out on a date if you did that.
It was my turn to get behind the wheel, but I can't say I'm incredibly gifted at driving stick shift.
Okay, wait, which one's the clutch?
The first one.
This one?
No, the left.
This one. Okay.
Now you press gas. Put a little bit of gas.
And this is the gas.
The other one. Okay, here. Go. Go.
Shit. Something's wrong.
Something went down. Shit. I have to call the mechanic.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I feel so horrible right now. I think I just broke Betty's car. I don't know what I did.
امسكي.
ايش هذا gear؟
لا اكس.
Axe؟ طب أحسن. عندك
Very
axe
good.
غيره؟
It's just the axe.
What does that mean?
It's not the gear. It's just the
So
axe.
it's not. I didn't break the car? Yes!
Well, thank you so much for spending the day with me.
You're welcome.
I had such a blast with you guys.
It was a lot of fun.
The media is obviously fascinated by these girls, but most of the coverage is about how shocked people are that there are girls in Palestine racing and doing what they do.
Yes, the Speed sisters defy preconceptions of Middle Eastern women. But maybe it's a mistake to be surprised that the first all-female racing team has come out of Palestine. The more time you spend here, the more you realize how much tenacity it takes to get through even the average day. We caught back up with Natalie, who had organized a photo shoot to put together a lookbook for her collection just 2 days before her show in Jerusalem.
How many looks are you doing today?
Around 40.
What?
Yeah, don't kill her.
And so is it rare for a girl to be a model in Palestine?
Yeah, we are searching for 30 days.
Wow.
And then we get one or two, and then the family says no, and that's it.
How many female models do you think you have in
our
Palestine?
country, there is four.
Four,
which is not a number.
The reason models are so hard to come by in Palestine is because of the region's culture of modesty. But there are so few opportunities to model that it's not a viable job option. Most families would not approve of their daughters pursuing modeling as a career.
يعني شايفة هي تاي ناتالي شايفة هي الوقفة هي حلوة وفيها دلع.
اوكي تدلع شوي.
I can't believe it's your first time. I'm so impressed.
I'm in love with fashion,
Yeah.
That's why.
You love it.
Yeah.
Are you going to model in the show as well?
Inshallah.
It's like a lot of them will say yes and then they'll back out, and that's a really big issue because, on the dates, all you'll be like, there's no one here, or,
Oh man, they're hard to find, huh?
They really are.
I didn't realize models are like unicorns in Palestine. We're at the border of Gaza, and we're just at the checkpoint, so we have to turn the cameras off, but I have no idea what to expect. I've never been to a place like this, obviously.
We left the West Bank to attempt to go to Gaza, a strip of land only 25 miles long and 6 miles wide, infamous for its sustained periods of violent conflict. Gaza is governed by the militant Islamic group Hamas, which is listed as a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. government. Since Hamas took control of the Strip in 2007, both Israel and Egypt have held Gaza under a blockade, shutting down its borders and only allowing Gazans to leave under exceptional circumstances. This has spawned an expansive network of tunnels, used to smuggle in anything from lion cubs to clothing to weaponry. In 2014, a full-scale war broke out with Israel, which killed over 2,000 people, the majority Palestinian. And while hostile exchanges still occur, I felt it was important to explore this other side of the Palestinian identity.
I'm getting really nervous because if they see the cameras, then they're gonna freak out. Okay, put it down, put it down, put it down, put it down.
Entering Gaza is heavily restricted. Palestinians living in the West Bank are not allowed access to Gaza, and vice versa. Crossing its borders is difficult. First, you must undergo a series of heavy Israeli security checks. Then, walk through a 2-mile-long caged tunnel, which leads you to your last hurdle, the Hamas checkpoint, where they search your belongings for forbidden items, such as booze or pornography. And then, you've made it.
I really have no idea how to express what I'm feeling right now. You know, this is a place that is just constantly echoing on our TV sets and radios, and yet here we are, and it's a really real place, and we're really, really here.
I was struck by how little had been rebuilt since last year's war. Although I'd expected scenes like this, I'm ashamed to admit that what I did not expect was for Gaza to be beautiful. It's easy to forget that its beach lies on the Mediterranean Sea, sharing the same coveted waters as the south of France. And despite the wars and the blockade, there's a thriving surf culture here, and it's not just male-oriented. I was going to meet Rawand, a woman who has been surfing here since she was a kid. However, because of the restrictions placed on women by Hamas, she did not want her face to be filmed.
دخلت ركوب الأمواج من خلال إنه أهلي وإخواتي فكنت أنزل معهم وأنا صغيرة وضليت لما كبرت.
And how do you feel when you're surfing? What does it make you feel like?
شعور رائع كتير وبحس حالي إني مش في غزة.
Are the boys intimidated by you?
لا مش بخافوا إنه بيستغربوا إنه كيف بنت وعندنا في غزة في تقاليدنا في عاداتنا إنها بتقدر تمارس هذه الهواية ورغم كل الصعوبات اللي عندنا.
In the water, past a certain point, it's controlled by the Israeli Navy. Is that right?
إلا مسافة ميل معين في غزة. لا كنت 3 ميل بس. تقريبا بعدين إذا اجتزتيهم إطلاق نار ولو أكثر بنتملى إن شاء الله هيك بنتحرر وكل البحر إلنا.
And can you tell me about what you wear in the water?
بما إني مسلمة أكيد رح ألبس شيء طويل وأكيد حجاب والشقف فاضي واسع بتناسب الهواية لازم إنها تناسب مع دين وأخلاقي.
Rawand offered to give me a surf lesson whilst keeping to a strict Islamic dress code. Hamas standards, they watch colors. Due to the blockade, getting new equipment in is impossible. So the only surfboard that Rawand could lend me was child size. She's also outgrown her burkini, a type of religiously appropriate full-body swimsuit. So to pursue her passion, Rawand has to go surfing in floor-length Islamic dress.
To swim in clothing. Oh my God. So how did I do?
Yes, it's nice safe today.
Thank you so much for taking me out.
Me too.
In a way, I'm having very complicated feelings about being here because I've just spent all of this time on the West Bank with Palestinians who have never even been to Gaza. And here I am, able to traverse all of these boundaries, and I feel so lucky to get to see these worlds. And at the same time, I feel guilty for that privilege.
Nightlife happens a little differently here than in the West Bank, and I'd been invited to a gathering that evening to experience it firsthand. I was met by two young Palestinians, Ahmed and Mohammed, who took me up to the party.
Go on?
Yeah.
Power's out, so if you have a phone, you could turn off.
Okay. How often does this happen?
On a daily basis,
Yeah.
pretty much stays on for like 8 hours, and then it goes back out for another 8 hours.
What is this instrument called?
Oud.
It's very unique to be sitting in a circumstance with family and people of all ages playing really old songs. Is this how you normally would spend a night?
We don't have hip-hop concerts in Gaza.
Yeah.
So it's a closed society, and the people just have what their parents gave them.
What is it like to be a young person living here right now?
راح اطلع ادرس بمصر يعني بعديها اعود بس لازم هذه فيها اللي هو الحاجز اللي هو المعبر بده يكون في invitation اما غير هيك انا ما بقدرش اطلع.
I think me and Muhammad and most of the people our age just have this extra energy, this extra need to do something different, and when you're in Gaza, you can't.
What was it like before Hamas took over? Was your life different in any way?
في زمن السلطة الفلسطينية كان في تفريغ عند الشباب. اليوم في رقابة، يعني مثلا وجود حماس في رقابة أكثر. يعني ممنوع شاب وبنت يقعدوا في مكان عام، حتى مكان عام.
حتى إن فكرة إني أنا ألبس البنطلون لحتى الآن بعاني منها، وعندي مشاكل كتير مع أهلي، أو بالأحرى مشاكل لأهلي من الناس اللي حواليا.
And you said you don't like wearing your headscarf.
Yeah.
Why do you have to wear it if you don't like it?
Because I should wear it.
Are there any places where you can take it off and you feel free to do that?
Yeah, out of Gaza.
All right, I'm up at the crack of dawn. 2 bomb blasts from the Hamas side went into Israel at 11 p.m. last night, and then a couple hours later, 2 Israeli F-16s dropped a couple bombs I don't know nearby.
We were told to get to the checkpoint immediately, as the border often closes after rocket exchange. Ahmed joined us on our last drive through Gaza.
We had such a nice day yesterday that, in a way, I'm glad that I was shaken up a bit by it, because it's a reminder that this place it's a war zone.
It's hard to know what Gaza's really like unless you come here.
Yeah.
See, I mean, yes, we do go to the beach and we do have fun and we do skateboard, but I've seen hundreds of people walking down the street running with nothing in their hand but their official papers. Some of them had their shoes, some people had food, some people had their kids.
I mean, how do you even recover mentally from something like that?
You don't.
All right, let's get to the checkpoint.
This is Eres checkpoint, and I can't cross. I want to, but I can't actually cross because I'll be shot.
Okay, so where do we have to let you out? This is the Hamas checkpoint.
Yep, so it's right over here.
We made it through the checkpoint, but the very next day, the Erez border was shut down for 3 weeks straight, once again sealing off Gaza from the rest of the world. Upon arriving back in Ramallah, I headed over to Christina's place. She wanted to show me the lengths that she and her business partner have to go to in order to make their lingerie business work in Palestine.
Hi, I'm Hailey. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Good. It's getting a bit dark, but I think we want to go to Jerusalem. We have some samples at a friend's house that we ordered online. Now we want to go get it.
Can you send things directly into Ramallah?
You can, it just takes forever and you may not get it really, that's the issue.
Israeli customs will go through the package and it'll, maybe something won't be there.
Is it easier to send to a friend's house in Jerusalem?
I mean, it's not ideal, but I guess this is what we have right now to work with. I think we should go.
All right, let's hit the road.
All mail to the West Bank goes via Jordan or Israel, meaning there are often delays and frequently items go missing. So for Christina and Nicola, it's more reliable to have items sent straight to East Jerusalem and then drive to pick them up in person.
You can't go to Jerusalem without a permit, and luckily I have a permit. Nicola, she just has an American passport. I mean, she's American, so she can easily come and go. So that's the difference between us. It's kind of good that we're starting this business together.
Yeah.
Although Christina holds an American passport, the fact that she also holds a Palestinian ID card means that Palestinian travel restrictions apply to her. She can only travel to Jerusalem within certain times of the day, and her permit has a curfew of 9 p.m.
And what made you move here, Nicola?
I like so much about it here. I like the culture, the people, the food, Women here I feel are so ultra feminine, I guess, in their style, and I've grown to really like it, actually.
What's the sort of process of us getting through this checkpoint?
I can drive through in the car, but Tina has to get out and walk through on foot.
Yeah, I don't get to stay in the car.
This is making me nervous.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be fine.
It's much worse to be in the traffic when there's tear gas and rubber bullets.
When does that happen?
Anytime.
It happens frequently, there's often protests and demonstrations.
What's going on?
You guys actually are going to want to get down here.
This is probably a good time to turn off the cameras.
I decided to go through the checkpoint on foot into East Jerusalem with Christina and film it on my phone.
We're going to cross on foot, and hopefully no one catches us filming.
There are some guys heckling at us right now. Okay, I need you to tell me when to put the camera down,
I don't know if there's over here or on the next window. Okay.
Here they are. They made it.
We made it out. It was terrifying.
Yeah. It's always like a huge sigh of relief,
this
right
is
after
a lot of stress to get a pair of panties.
It is.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to see it.
This is really exciting. Oh, wow. This is the slip.
God. I love it.
And here is the bra. Oh, this is so cute.
Don't look.
Yeah, this is like the fun part of work, when you get to actually see the things.
So obviously we've just gone through a really intense experience to get this bra. You both have American passports.
Right.
Yeah.
You could both live in the States
Absolutely.
and own a lingerie business, but that's clearly not what this is about.
You're right. I could easily just leave, but then this whole political life that is very much a part of my being would be irrelevant, as if I just didn't give a shit about what was going on here, and I very much give a shit about what's going on. Maybe on the outside, someone might think it's some ditzy idea, but I want to stay here, and I want to try to contribute, and I want to help Palestine, and that's why I've decided to stay.
The next morning, trying to get back into East Jerusalem, we were faced with yet more checkpoint obstacles.
Okay, so we have been sitting at this checkpoint for about 45 minutes. We've been rejected 3 times by the Israeli officers. We have press cards, we have visas. I haven't been allowed to film because we're not allowed to film the checkpoints. That's why we've drawn the curtains, but frankly, I'm experiencing this maddening arbitrary control that the military has over everyone here, no matter what your ID says.
After being denied entry at Bet El checkpoint, we cut our losses and decided to head to the Columbia checkpoint, where we were finally let through and en route to Natalie Tahan's fashion show.
I mean, obviously I'm not trying to equate any of this experience to living here as a Palestinian under military control, but I definitely got a taste of it today.
After spending a week in the West Bank, it was clear to me that a Palestinian woman putting on an all-Palestinian event in Israeli-controlled Jerusalem is no small feat, not just logistically, but also symbolically.
I just changed in the car after the fashion show is just about to start. I feel so sweaty and so disgusting, but we gotta run. Let's go. Hi! Oh my God!
How's it going?
You're beautiful.
I'm nervous.
It's beautiful in here. There's so many people here. It's exciting. Hi! How are you? Nervous? She's seeing the lookbook they shot for the first time.
Oh my God, this is gonna reach every single person that's downstairs. Oh my God.
Have you modeled before? No. No? It's really exciting being backstage here right now because none of these girls have actually walked the catwalk before.
بنات انزلوا لي اللي بتخلص مع جمال بليز تنزلوا.
I'm going to see if Iyad from Natalie's factory made it here. I see him. I'm happy to see you here.
The show had been pulled together in spite of the setbacks and was about to start. Natalie's designs celebrated Palestinian heritage by showcasing traditional craftsmanship in a modern context. It was important for Natalie that every step of the process was done by Palestinians, from the sourcing of the materials and the handiwork to the models and production team. There's no easy way to sum up my experience in Palestine. Gaza is distinct from Ramallah, which is distinct from Hebron. But life in all of these places is defined by borders, more so than anywhere else I've been. And when you live in a place where there can be fatal consequences to crossing a shadow on a street, the challenge is not letting those borders define you.
فرجي للعالم إنه إحنا قادرين نعيش زي باقي أي حدا يعني مهما المشاكل اللي إحنا أو الظروف اللي إحنا عايشين فيها.
I am Palestinian and I'm proud to be Palestinian. From the outside I'm very feminine, but from the inside I'm very tough.
You know, a lot of people are a bit startled when I tell them that this is what I want to do.
Fighting the fight one panty at a time.
There you go.